lowering rates to zero saved the banks. So instead of letting the bad people go to jail and the bad banks fail, they bailed them out and basically said, okay, you can borrow from the Fed at zero. Because by the way, have you ever borrowed at Fed funds? I never have. I just don't know how that works. So they borrow and then they buy government bonds. Riskless trade, lever it up 10, 11 times. JP Morgan, it's funny. You've traded before, right? Managed risk. Trading and being right every time you trade and making money 365 days out of 365, what are the odds of that? Zero. Like that doesn't happen unless you happen to be JP Morgan trading desk. They had no trading losses for years. Zero trading days lost. So that's a riskless trade. But here's the problem. Why did they do that? Well, they had to liquefy the balance sheets of the banks. Well, if you pay zero, then depositors get paid zero. And all of a sudden this digital asset comes along and they say, if you take your money out of fiat, convert it into crypto, then he would have been everybody's biggest client if he had that much money doing index arbitrage, which he was not. And there was no fund. He literally would have his brother-in-law transfer the money into his personal account. He just stole people's money and lied. So that's not a hedge fund. That's a fraud. And he went to jail. Here's the crazy thing. The day after he admitted to his son that it was all a fraud, he went to jail. And he died right up the road here in Butner, North Carolina. Okay. And then it's, maybe he didn't die in prison like everybody else. No, I actually it's a funny story. I met his prison guard on a plane. He was coming back from a conference. He didn't know me from Adam, right? And we just got chatting over cocktails on the plane. And he told me some amazing stories about Bernie in prison. But he actually helped the guards with their personal finances, which is kind of wild when you think about it. But Sam and Caroline were pawns in a very elaborate game that's still going on. And so he asked the question. So Mark, answer the freaking question. Were the bank runs intentional? I'm going to say, yeah, I believe they were intentional. And why? Why would you foment a bank run? Isn't all of banking reliant on confidence? Is 80% of the whole market cap of Bitcoin. It's almost $400 billion.
I thought it was 100%.
That's the admitted fines. That's the paid fines. Forget the actual stuff they did. So, yeah, anyway.
So you triggered a couple of questions there. One, it was a long intro, but thank you so much. So speaking of kind of government and everything, I think you said once a long time ago, you had fears that Satoshi Nakamoto could have been entirely created by the CIA. Has your thesis on that changed?
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to try to switch internet again. Let's see what happens. Shoot.
I can hear you. There you are. You're back. There you're back. Bingo. Let me just pop you in. You're back.
All right, sorry. It was all right. That's better.
Okay.
So I was having too much latency on the phone.
No problem. Did you catch my last question? You did have a theory way back.
So look, who is one of the co-inventors of blockchain technology? Is one of the fathers of, or not fathers. He's one of the progeny of the early cypherpunks, but he's a punk. He's a cryptographic progenitor, and he's cited 3 times in the white paper. So in the footnotes, if anyone actually reads the footnotes, you'll see Scott's name there. Scott's a pretty smart guy, and he's a venture partner of he's a venture partner of ours, advisor. And so I asked him this question. And well, I shall tell you one other funny thing. So the first question I asked him was, like, Scott, you were kind of there at the beginning. So I know you don't want me to ask, but I'm going to ask because everybody was going to ask you. So do you know who Satoshi is? And he starts speaking Japanese. And goes on for about a minute speaking Japanese. And we're like, okay, Scott, what's the joke? He says, well, if you knew Japanese, you would know that I just said that, yes, I was there around this group of people, and that perhaps I could, was the original question. So, yeah.
The original question was, can they block it? Can they ban it?
Oh, can they block it? Yeah.
Executive Order 6102.
Yeah. So what happened with 6102 was they made gold illegal. Okay. It was illegal for a citizen of the United States from 1933 to 1975, which is a long ass time, to own gold. Now, did everybody turn their gold into the government? Hell no. Did a few people? Sure. Did anyone get arrested? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I don't believe so, but possibly. But it was technically, you were a fugitive of the law if you had Krugerrands in your house until 1975. So, make a long story short, they didn't really ban gold. Gold still exists, and here's the funny thing: gold is the base layer of money. Right? Gold is actually the only money in the world. Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. Everything else is debt. It's credit. Even JP Morgan famously said that gold is money, everything else is just credit. So now the question is, does the gold in Fort Knox actually exist, or did they already sell it multiple times? Nobody really knows. And you withdraw money there or go to Bitcoin ATM. So no, you can't ban it. You can't ban a decentralized. Saying you're going to ban crypto or ban Bitcoin is a little like saying you're going to stop electricity from flowing.
Yep. And that's exactly what I thought. And that makes me think, so what exactly are they doing? Are they just trying to give it a bad name? Are they trying to deter people from getting into it because they're worried not only about a run on the banks, but a run on the dollar? The dollar has a lot of enemies in the world today. And the last 2 weeks have been the most point of evidence of Bitcoin's anti-fragility that we've seen since the GFC in 2009, although it didn't exist then. But so
Silicon Valley Bank went down to zero. Signature Bank went to zero. JP Morgan fell like 20%. And Bitcoin went up 20%. So totally anti-fragile.
So then you got the big guys.
Here's the thing.
Okay, I was just going to say.
Bitcoin didn't go up. It's just one subtle point.